Germany's permission. Let's bring in Sergej Sumlenny from Palma, Spain. He's the director of the European Resilience Initiative Center, joining us from Berlin. Welcome. You're speaking to us from Palma, rather, but the center is in Berlin. Let me just correct myself. Welcome to the Al Jazeera News Hour. So the Germany is in fact hesitant, not yet committing to send these tanks to Ukraine. Part of the reason is that Germany worries about escalation of the war and how Vladimir Putin will react to the supply. Are these concerns justified?
Yeah, hi, and thank you for having me today. It is hard to say how justified are the German concerns in the context of all the delays. Like, it's almost 1 year of the war now, like of the full-scale invasion, and Germany is still totally concerned with its own fears and fantasies. We have heard today morning from the German Defense Minister Pistorius, as he said that he has ordered his ministry to finally find out how many tanks German army has in possession and how many tanks can be sent to Ukraine, and how many tanks, battle-ready tanks, are in possession of the German industry, not yet delivered to the customers. So when we think about the fact that Germany needed 11 months of the war to check its books and to understand, well, we have that much tanks, maybe that much tanks, and that much tanks are operational. This looks like a totally unpreparedness, like totally unreadiness for any conflict. And of course, if your army is in that shape, your industry is in that shape that you don't, or first of all, your politics is in that shape that you don't know 11 months after the start of the war, how many weapons do you have? That means, yes, that anything can scare you, but I don't believe that any excuse which Chancellor Scholz or other German politicians had that Putin will be angry, they can attack
right, but Mr. Scholz also doesn't want to risk the perception that he's acting and that he's going at this alone, hence the desire to coordinate with allies and particularly the United States.
I think that is totally nonsense. What Scholz says, like, we hear only nonsense from him and from his former minister Lambrecht, who has resigned recently. Only nonsense since the February. First, they said that first they told that the Russians will attack. Then they thought that the Ukrainian army cannot operate this sophisticated technique, sophisticated devices from Europe. Then they said that it will take time to deliver. Now we know that they never wanted to deliver. Later they said it will escalate. It is nonsense to say that after the Mariupol, after Bucha, after bombardments of Ukrainian infrastructure, after the Russian missiles hit living
right, but to what
areas
extent do you actually think that
city.
these types of weapons and these types of tanks can actually change the course of the war?
Oh, yes, they can. That's
How
why
so?
the Ukrainians want them. Because Ukrainians put this war into some sort of a stalemate. They have liberated 60% of their territory, and they don't let the Russians to go further. So now they need more weapons and more good weapons to push the Russians further back. Because what they do now, the Ukrainians, then they can hold the Russian invasion, but every day of this stake, it means that Ukrainian soldiers die and Ukrainian civilians die. So Ukrainians need, first of all, battle tanks, then IFVs, infantry fighting vehicles, and 3 jets to start an effective and swift offensive and to push the Russians back. When we, the West, when we don't deliver the weapons, we don't de-escalate, we just prolong the war in its brutality. We just let the Russians to kill more Ukrainians. And that's a tragedy.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us from Spain. Now, the front lines